There's a reason you stand out, a reason your presence shifts the energy in any room you enter. You are not like the rest. You never were. You've felt it, haven't you? That quiet knowing deep within you. The unshakable truth that you were meant for something greater. Not everyone will understand it. Not everyone will celebrate it. Some will be drawn to your light, while others will recoil, threatened by the power you carry. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Because when you rise, you hold up a mirror to the world. Those who are secure in themselves will see your strength and be inspired. But those who have buried their potential under bitterness and fear, they will see a reflection of everything they have denied themselves. And rather than confronting their own choices, they will try to dim you, silence you, make you doubt the very force that makes you extraordinary. Let them talk, let them scheme, let them throw shadows. It does not touch you, it does not stop you. You were built for this. Every attempt to break you only sharpens your edge. Every setback only fuels your rise. Every ounce of negativity thrown your way is just proof that you are exactly where you are meant to be, rising beyond their reach. So walk boldly in your truth. Stand in your power. You were never meant to blend in. You were born to break through. And nothing can stop what is divinely protected. An inner light that refuses to be dimmed. That's what sets you apart. It shines through adversity, carving a path through the fog of uncertainty with unwavering brilliance. This force within you is undeniable, illuminating not just your journey, but reflecting back to others their own truths. And that's where the tension begins. To some, your presence is a catalyst, a call to awaken their dormant strength, to strive for more, to step into their own power. To others, however, your light is an unwelcome intrusion, exposing the parts of themselves they would rather keep hidden. The self-doubt, the unfulfilled dreams, the choices made in fear, all become painfully clear in your presence. Some will be drawn to you, seeking solace in your unwavering confidence, hoping to absorb even a fraction of the clarity you embody. Others will resist, recoiling from the unspoken challenge your existence presents. Their discomfort is not your burden to carry. You were never meant to shrink to accommodate fragile egos. Your strength is not arrogance. It is evidence of a spirit that refuses to be confined by doubt or fear. And while some may attempt to cast shadows over your radiance, their efforts are in vain. The truth is simple. Those who are unsettled by your light are battling their own darkness. Whether they acknowledge it or not, your very presence forces them to confront their own stagnation. To those on the outside looking in, your success seems effortless, bestowed upon you rather than built. They fail to see the years of resilience forged through struggle, the relentless discipline, the sacrifices hidden beneath the surface. Instead, they view your achievements as an unfair advantage, as if fate arbitrarily placed you ahead while leaving them behind. But they misunderstand the nature of blessings. What they see as fortune is actually alignment, an unwavering commitment to purpose, an unshakable faith that fuels every step forward. Your progress is not accidental. It is the result of moving with intention, of standing firm in your worth, when the world tried to convince you otherwise. Yet, those who cannot grasp this truth allow envy to distort their perception. They do not see the battles you fought, only the victories you've won. In their minds, the universe has somehow favored you at their expense, as if success is a limited resource rather than the product of perseverance. Their resentment blinds them to the reality of your journey, turning admiration into bitterness, respect into rivalry. They measure their own struggles against your achievements, convinced they have been wronged simply because they do not see the foundation upon which you stand. But their frustration is not yours to carry. You are not responsible for their inability to recognize their own power. You are not obligated to shrink for the comfort of those who refuse to grow. Your light does not diminish others. It simply reveals what they have yet to embrace within themselves. Let them watch, let them judge, let them wrestle with their own reflection. You have work to do, and your purpose will not wait for their understanding. An unspoken vigilance runs through your spirit, a silent alarm that activates whenever hidden malice draws near. It is more than discomfort, it is the primal wisdom within you, a subtle detection system that recognizes harmful intentions before they manifest. Words and friendly gestures can mask what lurks beneath, but your deeper senses discern the dissonance between surface politeness and underlying hostility. This intuition is not a product of imagination. It is a profound connection that transcends the visible world, alerting you to energies tainted by envy, bitterness, or spite. Whenever such influences approach, your inner voice quietly urges you to guard your boundaries, to remove any lingering negativity from your space. Even when others attempt to feign benevolence, you can detect the hollow chill in their presence. They tread through their routines, consumed by a silent anger that drives them to weave subtle narratives of gossip and false insinuations, hoping to dull the radiance they perceive in you. In their view, your success and the high regard you command are targets to be diminished through veiled remarks, carefully disguised as concern or casual chatter, all in an effort to erode trust around you. Beneath these measured words lies a desperation, an unresolved emptiness that refuses to remain unseen. Every accusation they craft ultimately exposes more about their own turmoil than about you. They may adopt an aura of earnestness, but the thin veneer cracks as envy seeps through. For they have sown the wind, and they shall reap the whirlwind. Hosea 8:7. Beloved, let me tell you something. What a person sows, they will surely reap. The ones who whisper in the shadows, the ones who spend their energy trying to pull you down, they think they're weaving a web for you, but in reality, they're wrapping themselves in chains, because you cannot plant seeds of deception, bitterness, and envy and expect to harvest peace. It doesn't work that way. Join the journey. Subscribe now, and let's make greatness happen. Think of a man who builds his house on a cracked foundation. At first, everything looks fine. The walls stand tall, the paint is fresh, the structure appears strong. But over time, the cracks begin to spread. The weight of what's been built on falsehood starts to press down, and one day, the whole thing collapses under its own instability. That's how it works with those who carry hidden resentment. They can hide it for a while, they can pretend to be sincere, they can put on a good show, but eventually, what's buried inside rises to the surface. You see, they set out to undermine you, to plant doubt in others' minds, to twist narratives in their favor. But their words don't carry the spirit of truth. They carry the weight of their own wounds, and whether they realize it or not, those wounds are on full display. People begin to notice. Notice the tension, the contradiction, the subtle bitterness behind the facade. The more they speak, the more their true intentions seep through. They wanted to cast shadows over your name, but instead, they expose the darkness in their own hearts. Every whisper, every accusation, every attempt to discredit you does not weaken you. It reveals them. Like a mirror turned back on its source, their actions reflect their own internal battles. And here's the truth. When you operate from a place of resentment, you end up caging yourself in a prison of your own making. They thought they were pulling people against you, but instead, they've drawn attention to their own unrest. They wanted to weaken your foundation, but their own is crumbling beneath them. Their bitterness isolates them, their schemes unravel, and in the end, they stand alone in the very pit they tried to dig for you. And you don't even have to fight them. No need to engage in their drama. No need to defend yourself against what is already exposing itself. You just keep walking in purpose, keep standing in truth, keep shining in light. Because the more they strive to tear you down, the clearer it becomes to everyone around them. They were never standing on solid ground to begin with. But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good. Genesis 50:20. Beloved, let me remind you, no force of darkness, no ill intention, no weapon formed against you can prosper. The very things sent to break you are the very things God uses to build you. What they meant for harm, God turns for your good. Think of gold refined in the fire. The heat is intense, the pressure is great, but the fire does not destroy the gold. It purifies it. It burns away the impurities and reveals its true brilliance. That's exactly what happens when negativity comes your way. The words, the envy, the silent wishes for your downfall, none of it sticks, none of it takes root. Instead, it all becomes fuel, pushing you higher, making you stronger, sharpening your discernment. There is a divine hedge around you, an invisible shield that catches every scheme and transforms it into something that works in your favor. They hope to see you stumble, but instead, you stand taller. They wanted to weaken your resolve, but instead, your confidence in God deepens. They sought to drain you, but instead, their opposition becomes the very thing that replenishes your spirit. You see, when someone harbors resentment toward you, when they sit in bitterness, plotting against you, they think they are directing harm your way, but they don't realize they are only exposing their own wounds. They do not break you, they reveal themselves, and instead of seeing you fall, they watch as their own hostility turns to dust, powerless against the favor resting on your life. Every trial, every whispered doubt, every attempt to pull you down becomes the anvil upon which your strength is forged. You are not shaken by their plans because you know who you are. You are walking in divine purpose. You are covered in divine favor. What others throw at you cannot derail what God has ordained. They thought they were casting shadows over you, but instead, they shined a light on their own unrest. They thought they were draining your spirit, but instead, you are more energized, more certain, more aligned than ever before. The opposition they created was not a stumbling block, it was a stepping stone. So let them talk, let them plot, let them scheme. It will not work. The more they press, the higher you rise. The more they resist, the stronger you become. You were never meant to shrink, never meant to fold, never meant to be held back by the opinions of those who cannot comprehend the calling on your life. Stay steady, stay faithful, stay unshaken, because everything that was meant to harm you is being turned into a testimony of triumph. What they intended for evil, God is turning for good, and there is nothing they can do to stop it. Every slur, every moment of spite, morphs into a stepping stone on your path to growth. Each disparaging word serves as a spark that lights the flame of goodness encircling you. Rather than tearing you down, their malice inadvertently accelerates your ascent. Their attempts to harm, ironically, become the force propelling you to new heights of realization, fueling a radiance they once hoped to snuff out. You can sense your bond with the sacred deepening every time someone lashes out, as their bitterness exhausts them while leaving you unscathed, supported by the very momentum they tried to use against you. Rise up. Subscribe now. They do not recognize the futility of their actions, nor do they comprehend how each strike intended for harm instead fortifies your spirit. The energy they expend drags them into deeper unrest, while you remain out of reach, empowered by the very hostility they believed would cause your downfall. Through this remarkable shift, what was meant to limit you instead elevates you. And so, you rise above, collecting the force of their resentment and molding it into an unshakable sense of purpose, untouchable and ever more resilient than before. Dear brothers and sisters, may the peace of God be with you today. Remember this truth: your life is rooted in God's divine plan, unshaken by worldly concerns. As Scripture says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you." Luke 6:38. Like a mighty oak, your faith is firmly planted in His truth. When you give with a heart of faith, whether through the super thank you button or another act of generosity, blessings will return to you abundantly. Sow in faith and watch God move in your life. There is a presence about you that radiates a quiet strength, reflecting an awareness of your position in a grand tapestry. And yet few realize the profound mechanics at work behind this existence you've embraced. Everything directed your way, malice, doubt, or hostility, is transmuted into a resource for your ascension, never lodging itself in your spirit or dimming your purpose. Instead, it evolves into a source of renewal, a cycle of adversity turned into empowerment. In this process, what was intended as harm becomes, paradoxically, the very element that fortifies your path. The vibrational space you occupy remains beyond the reach of those who operate in lower frequencies. Although their intentions may be steeped in negativity, each act only augments your sense of mission, helping you uncover deeper clarity about who you are and why you walk this road. Their attempts at disruption transform into catalysts, illuminating the depth of your resolve. While they wrestle with their own darkness, you find yourself drawing from an endless well of sustenance they cannot touch. The resentment they harbor actually nurtures the soil of your blessings, anchoring you further in the favor and protection that guides your steps. This is the essence of what has been granted you, a steadfast immunity to the shadows that others try to extend. They unwittingly serve as the architects of your good fortune. Each resentful thought, each biting remark, is reshaped by divine intent, magnifying the brightness that lights your way. Even if they use dark energy, your spirit functions as a mirror, reflecting only illumination, forging an ongoing process of alchemy that elevates you to even greater resilience. Gifts appear along the path in direct response to this transformation, underscoring the profound bond that unites you with a higher plane. When envy or animosity take root in someone's heart, it taints every gesture they make, painting their words and actions in unmistakable shades of bitterness. Such bitterness begins to define them, clinging like a dense, oppressive cloak that grows heavier as they continue to nurture it. Their negativity, initially hidden behind casual remarks or half-hearted smiles, soon develops into a continuous presence that is impossible to overlook. The shift is stark. People who once sensed only minor sparks of rivalry now bear witness to an inescapable aura of resentment surrounding them. Their repeated attempts to sow discord, to erode connections, or to sabotage the well-being of others become increasingly transparent. Once concealed motivations grow discernible in every interaction. Criticism that once appeared benign now carries an obvious sting, while gossip reveals a desperate need to draw attention away from their own unresolved malaise. Bit by bit, the mask falls, laying bare the depth of their unhappiness. Darkness, which they once wielded to manipulate perceptions and relationships, circles back around to separate them from those whose acceptance they once enjoyed. People catch on, recognizing that the currents swirling around this individual sap energy rather than sustain it, and so they step away for their own well-being. In time, the person's determination to remain in negativity erects walls they cannot tear down. The more they push their bitterness outward, the greater the distance grows between them and any semblance of support. It is a fortress they fortify themselves, even as it becomes their prison. Loneliness settles in, and the very sentiments they aimed at others, the envy and spite, turn inward, forcing them to confront truths they have long denied. As the days turn over, they see how their behaviors have cemented their isolation. Each poisonous comment or attempt at sabotage acts as a reflection of their own dissatisfaction. Their true self, once swathed in the pretense of politeness, stands increasingly revealed. The facade, meticulously cultivated, can no longer hide the storm of emotions that churns beneath the surface. Observers recognize that this individual's bitterness is not merely situational, but an embedded part of their outlook. And in that recognition, people quietly distance themselves, not out of retaliation, but out of self-preservation. No one is willing to let that corrosive energy spill over into their own spirit. Thus, the individual finds themselves surrounded by emptiness, a solitude forged by the negative forces they unleashed. What they meant to use as a tool of manipulation has become the bars of their own confinement. Every action, motivated by resentment, echoes back with a truth they cannot hide from. Their unhappiness lies not in external circumstances, but in the choice to feed an ever-growing darkness. It is a self-made reality, a stark testament to how destructive envy and bitterness can be. And so they remain, enclosed by the barrier of their own negativity, while everyone else moves on, unwilling to surrender to that same shadow. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. Isaiah 54:17. Beloved, hear me today. Your very existence shakes the unseen realm. You are not ordinary. You are not here by accident. You have been set apart, chosen by divine design. And that means the forces of darkness take notice. When you walk into a room, something shifts. When you speak, something stirs. Your presence is a disruption to every scheme, every deception, every low vibration that seeks to keep people bound. Think of a ship sailing through thick fog. The captain can't see what lies ahead, but the lighthouse on the shore pierces through the mist, guiding the way. That's what your spirit does. You are a lighthouse, cutting through the illusions, unsettling the forces that thrive in confusion and secrecy. They preferred the fog because it allowed deception to move freely, but your light exposes what they hoped to keep hidden. That's why the attacks come. That's why the whispers rise. That's why resistance meets you at every turn. But let me tell you something. What they send your way will not take root. The schemes, the slander, the attempts to break you down, they are powerless against the covering God has placed over your life. You are wrapped in divine armor, and no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Oh, they may try, They may plot. They may even think they've won for a moment. But what they fail to understand is that every battle, every opposition, every fiery dart sent your way only strengthens you. What was meant to weary you will only refine you. What was meant to shake you will only deepen your roots. What was meant to wound you will become the very testimony that lifts you higher. The enemy does not attack what is weak. He comes against what carries power. And you, my friend, are walking in power. The forces that oppose you are not just flesh and blood. They are spiritual. But do not be afraid. You do not fight alone. Heaven fights for you. Angels encamp around you. The very presence of God goes before you, behind you, and beside you. You are fortified. You are protected. You are covered. And listen to me, those who seek to undermine you, those who work in shadows, those who whisper against your name, their own schemes will unravel. Their own words will return to them. What they meant for harm will become their own undoing. Because when you walk in divine favor, no attack can stand. When God has assigned you, no force can remove you. So keep walking, keep shining, keep standing firm in the truth of who you are. Because the battle is not yours, it is the Lord's. And in Him, you are already victorious. The opposition you experience is not a sign of failure, but proof of your significance in the grand design. Those who seek to drag you into doubt, into despair, into questioning your own worth, are simply playing their part in a cycle that has existed since the beginning of time, a futile attempt to dim a light that was never theirs to control. The weight of their resentment cannot burden you because it does not belong to you. Their bitterness, their envy, their attempts to sow confusion and fear are nothing more than shadows desperate to survive in a world where your radiance exposes them for what they are. This is why you rise. This is why their efforts crumble. Their hostility serves only to refine your focus, turning every attack into an opportunity to stand even firmer in the truth that sustains you. Your faith, unshaken by their doubts, becomes the force that dismantles their illusions. Each envious glance, each spoken falsehood, each secret wish for your downfall does not diminish you. It becomes the catalyst that propels you forward. What was meant to disrupt becomes the very proof of your calling. Their battles are not yours to fight. Their burdens are not yours to carry. And as they attempt to cast stones, they fail to realize they are only reinforcing the walls of protection surrounding you. You are beyond their reach, safeguarded by the divine, held firm by a power that turns every adversarial force into another testament to your unyielding purpose. Their negativity fuels their own downfall, while your strength continues to ascend. In the end, it is not you who is tested, but them. And where they falter, you stand unwavering, untouched, and victorious. The presence within you is not fragile, nor is it at the mercy of the forces that seek to test it. This brilliance, forged in resilience and refined by faith, is untouchable, unshaken by the murmurs of doubt, immune to the reach of negativity. Those who aim to undermine it do so not because of your weakness, but because of the undeniable force you carry. It is the nature of true light to disrupt, to expose, to make restless those who have yet to reconcile with their own shadows. And so, their resistance is not a reflection of your limitations, but a testament to the magnitude of what you embody. No energy sent against you can penetrate the sacred protection surrounding you. Every attempt to diminish your essence is returned void, dissipated before it can take hold. This shield is not merely a barrier, it is a living force, transmuting opposition into wisdom, hostility into power, adversity into elevation. What was meant to unsettle you only affirms your purpose. The bitterness of others, their doubt, their envy, none of it holds weight in the presence of an unwavering spirit. Their energy does not reach you. It dissolves, revealing its own emptiness in the face of your steadfastness. There is no need to dim yourself to make others comfortable, no reason to soften your brilliance to ease their unrest. The ones meant to walk alongside you will find solace in your glow, will recognize the strength in your journey, and will be inspired by the path you carve. Others may attempt to misinterpret, to resist, to project, but that is not your burden to carry. Their discomfort is not yours to soothe. Your task is to walk forward, unapologetic in your radiance, untethered by the weight of external judgment. Every victory, every blessing, every step forward is not random. It is evidence of alignment, of the divine orchestration that has always been at work in your life. A life led with purpose does not need validation. It speaks for itself. Let your presence serve as a quiet revolution, a reminder that true power does not announce itself with force, but simply exists, unmoved, undeniable. Those who seek to understand will be drawn closer. Those who resist will fade into irrelevance. And you will continue to rise, undisturbed, untouched, bound only to the truth of who you are.